welcome back, everyone. Sorry for the late start, having a little bit of technical difficulties today. I'm on Wi-Fi, so if we go dark, jumping into a new campaign, Occupation for the Star Wars 5e sequel to Invasion, and I'll throw a link to that in the description. So we're popping back in now, going into the new campaign with some returning character or a returning character, and then some new guys as well. So today we're going to kind of go through, go over some of the variant rules we'll be using, and kind of keep making sure everybody's on the same page there. Going over the state of the galaxy, some new faction rules that I made up myself that we'll be using, and then just kind of figuring out who the new PCs are and kind of what they've been doing in the conflict so far. But yeah, I'll set the stage a little bit. So this campaign is taking place a year after Invasion, so a year after the battle above the unnamed planet, where the survivors of Vela, the heroes of Saiho, made their way to the unknown regions and found where the Yuzon Vong had been stationed with their portion of their invading fleet. With a trap the Yuzon Vong had set for Republic or whoever came sniffing around the ruins of Vela. The group, along with some of the allies they made along the way, Admiral Vexen, General Vet, Master Kalu, made their way there with a fleet provisioned by Supreme Chancellor Oveno, top of the line, to help uncover this threat and hopefully score a key victory to build morale within the Republic to face the Vong. With that, the group faced off against these Yuzon Vong, who laid in wait and had what the group later found to be a war coordinator, kind of governing their actions. And they found and met the kind of the architects or the core leaders behind the Yuzon Vong, and got to hear their plans that they've been divinely granted this galaxy by their gods, and we're going to take it by blood and force if necessary. With that, you guys met their war master, a kind of a hulking being with these kind of grafted on bio enhancements. You saw spikes protruding from his arms and body. His armor looked like, rather than wearing it, it looked like he'd been installed into his skin. He named himself Vakin throughout this engagement. With that, too, you guys saw next to him a priest, Nam Dagara, a prefect, Nam Dagara, who has been kind of running the both infrastructure of the Yuzon Vong. He's taken over some of the captured territories and has been working to kind of run those with the group. But he's also been kind of in charge of the espionage unit, with intendants kind of going through and infiltrating planets using their Uglith Masquers, kind of disguising themselves as regular species within the Star Wars galaxy, and just causing havoc. You also introduced one of the religious leader from the Peace Priest cast, Yag Nor, this kind of tall, spindly humanoid with one of his eyes replaced, and these ritualistic, flowy-looking tattoos across his skin, who has been kind of in charge of the religious efforts. Probably the one that's seen the least press in the galaxy so far, but when you have seen him, he's been into some nasty things, including some mass sacrifices to their gods that he's kind of displayed across the HoloNet for all to see. And the final one, the group came across her pretty often in the early days, the Master Shaper, MBN, who has been responsible for kind of creating the weapons, armor, and most importantly, some of the creatures that the Yuzon Vong utilized to wage their wars, creating the nasty Voxen, enhancing Rancors, just doing all types of crazy inventions to plague the galaxy. And with all those, after kind of hearing their announcement that they would kind of conquer the galaxy by divine right. The group did do battle with them above that unnamed planet, kind of almost coming to a draw. While the Republic had some more casualties, they were able to take out one of the war masters of the war coordinators of the Yuzon Vong and allow the Republic fleet to escape. But with all that, throughout this year, pretty much all of the factions within the galaxy, the Republic and Dominion, for a time were getting it the worst, with the Yuzon Vong focusing most of their might on the two juggernauts of the galaxy, battering the Sith Dominion down, trying to demoralize the Republic. And even with kind of throwing their resources at them, their fleets, their soldiers, their Sith, the Jedi, they haven't been able to slow the Yuzon Vong down. These invaders have gone through just planet by planet, star by star, and they're pretty brutal and vicious in the way that they come across. They've burned down planets to the ground, poisoned others. They've shot down refugee ships. They've pretty much hold nothing sacred except war and their devotion to the gods. And with that, the group kind of figure out who our group is, but the factions of the galaxy have all kind of reacted in their own ways. The Dominion has kind of fought tooth and nail, applying a total war strategy of giving no assets up, and for the assets that are taken from them, arming the populace to fight long beyond the point of reasonability. And with the Republic, for a time they fought under their Supreme Chancellor Oveno's command, but eventually losses piled up, and the kind of devastation of Ithor was the kind of the turning point for them, where the people of the Republic turned against Supreme Chancellor Oveno and the war, and forced the Senate and the Republic to enter into an armistice with the Yuzon Vong just to stop the bleeding. And out through this, some of the other factions have been up to their own things. The Mandalorians have turned their standing around, where before, during the invasion period, or pre-invasion period, they had been surrounded by enemies. They've mostly made allies with the other factions of the galaxy, with the Republic giving a ceasefire, as well as ceding the planet of Mandalore and the space around it to the Mandalorians for all time. And even earning more of an alliance with the or the Heaps Consortium, getting resources and things to help with the war effort. And they've been sending their warriors across the space to help fight the Vong, but now the fight is on their doorstep. And then with the Hutt cartel, they've been kind of playing both sides. But we'll get to the rest of that in a bit. But now we're going to go through and meet a little bit of some of our heroes, figuring out who will be kind of aiding the galaxy in this time of craziness and war, and kind of what they've been up to so far. So I'm going to pick on our returning heroes so far with this. Vars, you will be up first. Vars, you've been a part of the Mandalorians. Mandalore, the Exalted, recalled you back after the unnamed planet. Kind of utilizing, we're hoping to bring your expertise with the Yuzon Vong back to the Mandalorians, where they could make use of it. With that, what would kind of be Vars's, and we're going to go into some of the things that happened with the Mandos, but when Vars kind of first left the crew, the survivors of Vela, and went back, what would be one of his main goals? What would he be looking to do for his Mandos?
Well, trying to reinforce the idea that this is a real threat. I don't know. I feel like there's a bit of hubris mixed in with Mandalorian culture, you might say, and trying to get them to recognize that it's a real threat, and trying to leverage whatever resources they've gained into better suited to combat them. Again, finding out that, hey, they don't do so well against incendiary. They don't do so well against the cold, sonic. Try to emphasize training with those weapons and take a role as a bit of, I don't know, teaching them drills, teaching that this is not an enemy that you're used to fighting. And that's the gist of it, but a lot can happen in a year.
Definitely. And with that, I mean, yeah, VARs would definitely be no rule necessary, pretty successful convincing them of the threat, especially after seeing the Republic sleek and kind of smack down a bit. And with that, too, would VARs have helped at all with some of the diplomatic stuff, getting kind of the Republic to kind of cede Mandalore space and kind of call a ceasefire with the overall war?
I mean, on some point, it's like, not to go crazy patting himself on the back, but I helped, he helped them. He was there with them. He was shoulder to shoulder with their people. And as a sign of goodwill and focus on the real enemy, hope, just we should stop worrying about each other and start worrying about them.
Sure. And with that, they were able to bring the Republic in, and for a while, the Mandalorians were doing hot. The war wasn't at their border; they were able to kind of spread across the stars, fighting for the Republic, fighting with the Hapens, with the Huts as well, kind of utilizing that unique, brutal brand of combat the Mandalorians are famous for. Uh, Vars, what was because this guy, you guys are pretty established within the galaxy now, and Vars, especially with your time with overall the events through invasion, have earned a little bit of reputation for yourself. Well, were you what were you doing during that period? Were you kind of commanding troops? Were you doing more training and strategy and preparation? How did you interact with the war itself?
I would imagine that Vars would be at the front of it. Um, he wouldn't want to sit back and tell others what to do. He'd want to be waist deep in it, if you will. And again, maybe taking what he learns and translating that to better policies back home. Kind of trying to think of the best way to put this, but he'd be all over the place. He'd be wherever he was needed most. If there was a particular planet or location that was having a harder time than the rest, he'd see himself there. If he was trying to work out what to do next with a certain thing with the galaxy, I'd imagine that considering that he's proven himself over and over again, Mandalore the Exalted would be like, "Hey, you're our best Vong killer. What do you think?"
Nice.
So,
with tweaking some of the ammunition and things like that, that Vars would be a part of.
well, didn't really shine through with his run in with the heroes from Saiho, but Vars is a bit of a history buff, right? He loves taking in history, and he knows that the Vong hate droids, mechanical life of all forms. And oddly enough, at some point in their history, the Mandalorians had their own droid life forms that they were bonded to, if you will. Kind of like an extension of themselves, almost pets, mounts, the Basilisk war droids. And after an ill-fated attempt at taking the Republic, they were forced to destroy them. But let's just say he was leveraging his connections and friendships and whatever he can get his hands on to try to find more information. Maybe make them happen again.
Okay. Uh, do you have Astrotech proficiency or lore proficiency?
I have lore.
All right, give me first roll campaign. Give me a lore roll. See how you do with finding and some of these old blueprints, and old schematics.
Okay. Did that happen? All right. And hey, it's not the worst way to start things off.
Solid. Yeah, take some digging, especially as kind of the war effort, and the Mandalorians have never been one to really stockpile information. But you are able to find some old schematics for building baskets, build and kind of how to kind of design and manufacture them. Would this be how would Varus pursue this? What's he imagining with this?
Well, he knows he's not going to be able to. Hey guys, let's set aside this whole factory just for this pet project that I have. Now he's going to want to put together a proof of concept. He wants to be able to show this thing's going to work. And it might get a little rough the first one, but he would leverage whatever contacts he's got. Trying to think of who would be well suited to this from first campaign, but we didn't really have a lot of droid manufacturers in the first one that we dealt with. Maybe Zerka, but that last I don't know. We didn't leave on the friendliest terms, but we weren't enemies, I guess.
I'd say the big droid manufacturers and kind of in the galaxy, VARs would know. So depending on which way you want to go with it, Zerk is the biggest, but the Dominion does control Geonosis, and they've been churning out war droids. Especially, they're kind of in the same vein to you, especially after they found out the Vong hate droids. They've been churning them out just as a particular criff view to the Vong.
All right. Well, maybe if the minions got their hands on Geonosis, maybe Vars would reach out to Lord Galvin.
Sweet.
Your old Sith buddy, old pal.
Perfect. And I'll pause here a little bit. So out of game, what are you kind of imagining for the Basilisk?
This is more of a hey game master, what do you think this should be? I mean, I love the idea of them. But like, what are we, like a mount essentially? In which case, I might have to rethink what I'm doing with my character here. But I mean, I don't know.
So we'll kind of put this two ways. For like kind of, and we're gonna get into factions and resources and all of that in a bit. But if you wanted a more flavorful way, where you've kind of found the Basilisk for your faction, we could definitely ride that out pretty easy without needing to change up your class. You wouldn't have one that you use, but the Mandalorians could definitely have Basilisks. They could bring it to battles and wage across kind of the galaxy. Right. But if you want one that's kind of your own Basilisk, which I assume Vars, if he's going to make Basilisks, he'd probably want his. Because you switched your class or archetype up to the Fire Team Specialist, right?
That is correct.
So what we could do, because you went the non-companion archetype, right?
That's correct. Oh,
we could,
damn. All right.
We could flip it to the companion archetype and let's say burn one of your downtimes and switch that from a humanoid to a droid.
I need to look in that archetype, but let's say I'll get back to you.
How about the plot thickens?
Yeah, because, oh boy. Here I was thinking this would be like a nice idea. I'm like, oh, when I get to ride one? Hell yeah.
Yeah, so you got both paths. You could kind of have one where you brought that kind of, that's one of the flavor pieces you did for the Mandalorians, and if you want to have it, we can switch that and say we'll say burn 2 weeks of downtime, and then get rather than a humanoid, you get a droid that you can ride and use the other same companion building rules for the droids. But was still the same kind of overall class stuff of the Fire Team, which I haven't looked at the Fire Team super close, but I don't think it should be too different with the droid versus the humanoid, so it should be good there.
I will take a gander. Okay.
Sweet. Well, we'll pause on you there with kind of Vars going back, helping the Mandalorians arm and train and kind of take this Vong threat seriously and helping to both kind of lead as well as just prepare for the Vong. Next, we got Vars. We got a returning hero. But we got all new people now. Who wants to go next? Take it away, Tyson.
So, I am playing a Corellian Jedi Knight, human, didn't know by the Corellian, named Tyson Halcyon. He's a member of the Green Jedi Order, that part of the Enclave that blew up at the end. Was that the end of the last mission we did, or was that the Merc mission?
That was the Merc mission. When you guys were in the facility on Merc, that's when the Liberator and some of their forces attacked the Jedi Temple.
We fought those 3 guys when they were taunting us. And Okay, yeah, right. So with the destruction of that, they haven't really had a home. You know, they kind of exist out. They're within the Jedi Order, but they're their own flavor of ice cream, I guess you would say. But with that, with a lack of kind of base of operations, he's been going throughout the galaxy and trying to help set up supply lines and things of that nature, using his contacts. He was. I guess I should start with his background. He served the healing arts of the Jedi Order. He's been on missions with the Republic Army throughout the entire fight with the Dominion. I mean, that was practically his entire, um, uh, what would you call that, student life. I mean, that was pretty much all he did. And as you know, a medic, you're on the front lines. You see a lot of awful things, but he still keeps in good spirits about it, despite despite everything and all the planets that he's seen destroyed and are still keep getting destroyed. But he's a fairly nondescript Jedi, and that's kind of part of what he does. He doesn't really want to be seen, and the galaxy's not exactly a friendly place to the Jedi. Even within the Republic, they still have people that don't like the Jedi because of some of the actions that have happened over the decades of the war. It's been what, 10 years or 15 years, and then they were doing stuff
I said 15 years of all-out war with the Republic, but the Dominion had been around for I think another 10
like
years
20,
before that.
so like 25,
Yeah.
or give or take. And you know, due to that, he tries to stay as nondescript as possible. He looks armed to the teeth, like he's ready to take on a fight, like a walking supply depot. Lightsaber hidden, doesn't really want it to be seen, but he's got a. If you've seen Jesus from The Walking Dead, he's got that kind of very unkempt look to him, which there is a purpose to that. He's not meant to look like anything, and that's the point. The less people pay attention to him, the better he can do what he needs to do, get in, get out, and no one tries to hunt him for bounties.
Nice. And I forgot to give a little bit of an update with the Jedi I've been doing both in the channel. So the Jedi have had a little bit rough since this has all occurred. During the invasion campaign, the Order was on the outs with the Republic, especially with Supreme Chancellor Oveno kind of taking leadership over from the Jedi. And with that, for a while, the relationship did get better. With the kind of the heroes of Vela, as well as Master Kalu trying to argue for more cooperation during the Yuzon Vong War. For a time, kind of Oveno swallowed his pride and started to work with the Jedi Council, but did not last for long. Even before the Battle of Ithor, when the Republic withdrew, the Jedi had already kind of taken a step back, and a lot of that was due to just those strained relations. For a while, the Jedi thought that the Republic was kind of sending them into grinder missions, where kind of throwing them to battles where basically heavy casualties could be expected, and some believed this was Oveno's way to try to whittle down the Jedi by disguising it as kind of missions where you need super commandos. This is where the Jedi should fit in. But those kind of strained relations continued until the Jedi eventually kind of pulled out of the Republic again. But they still aided in the war effort. They've mostly been kind of doing a mixture of things. They've been behind enemy territory, helping refugees escape throughout Vong-controlled space, finding them different hyperspace lanes in and out of where the areas the Vong control, kind of evacuating planets, finding those pockets, and just kind of slipping in and out of Vong space without being noticed. They've also been helping to gather intelligence, occasionally leading guerrilla raids within the war efforts. But most of their efforts so far, especially after leaving the Republic, leaving kind of the front lines with the Republic Army, have been kind of on helping the people that have already been considered lost by both the Republic and the Dominion. They haven't really kind of distinguished between the two. They've just been in and out of Vong space doing what they can to help. And with that, how is Tyson? Has he been kind of with the Jedi with that side, or is he still kind of fighting along the front lines, or what's he been doing on that?
So before the Vong showed up, he had been. There was that rift with the Jedi and the Republic, but he still. I mean, he wasn't one of them, but he felt like one of them. And so, the place he was best served. I forgot to mention, he's a Sage Consular, so he's very into the healing arts, and he felt he was best used there, and that's where the Force was telling him to go. I mean, that's mass casualties, and then there are all sorts of diseases and afflictions that only the Sith could inflict on someone that only a Jedi can cure. And so he kind of felt that's where he's needed. And as the Vong came into the galaxy and that whole situation began to take shape, because at first he'd only hear rumors of things, just little goings on that weren't really anything until the pattern started to emerge. And then with the Senate testimony and the exposure of the senator as a Vong agent, the real enemy started to rear its ugly head, and he's attuned to the living force enough to know that, okay, maybe fighting the Dominion and the Mandos isn't really where they best are served. And he never felt that it ever was, because he looks at the Sith as broken and like diseased people that are just in need of, they're sick. They need to be cured of that insidious darkness inside them that very clearly manifests itself if you look at any of the real hardcore Sith Lords. You can read the decrepitness all over their face. But as the Vong have slowly come in, and the Jedi and all Force users have kind of been shunned by most of the galaxy, and the Vong, have they been hunting them? Were they hunting them last time, or was that?
So the Vong hunting the Jedi.
Were they actively hunting them at all? I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Oh, I should have mentioned this with the Jedi. Yeah. So this fits here. You all encountered the Crusaders on Merc. And found Yuzon Vong biodome there, and found one of the kind of nastiest Vong creations, the Voxen. These creatures that have been twisted and bred literally to hunt Force users, and they found a ton of them. The Republic was able to secure Merc again of frozen Voxen or frozen, not Nexu, frozen. What are they called? I'm blanking on the species name right now. Basically the baseline for what they need to.
The Vornsker?
Warrants. Thank you. I was blanking on what they were called.
Doggies. Bad dogs.
And somehow the Yuzon Vong have ended up with those, and they've flooded the galaxy with these Voxen sent to hunt Sith, sent to hunt Jedi, and yeah, they've turned the galaxy against the Jedi and the Sith, and have sent these hunters out to make it difficult for them, these Force users, to exist.
Well, that's even worse than I thought. So yeah, with those dangers out there, he's been trying to keep a low profile, and the Jedi, the Masters, with their estrangement from the Republic and the lack of resources for a lot of the Jedi that are taking on these diehard missions, they felt it necessary to create sort of a network of supplies or ways to move refugees in and out of behind enemy lines, both Dominion, the Vong, and into Hapes and Hut space all over, even the Republic network. He knows what's needed and where it's needed, and occasionally will help out with the Republic's war efforts. And Master Kalu passed him on as a favor to one of the generals, and on a real a mission gone wrong, he kind of decided, I'm not going to be on the front lines of this thing anymore. Not against these people. The Vong are who he needs to fight, and so he's been helping solely to set up that river, probably for the better part of 9 months out of that last year. And that's currently what he's still doing, looking for supplies, people, any resources they can use to help them discreetly move things. Anything that'll be a boon.
All right. Give me either a perception or insight check just to kind of see how well you do with kind of getting it through and out the Vogue territory and setting up a network on that side.
I have both of these this time. Let's go insight.
Yeah, I kept being surprised that the Gardner didn't have insight.
Not great, but I got a +8 to it, so 13.
Nice. Yeah, so it's hard. You're behind enemy lines, cut off from resources. It's difficult, kind of finding. It's kind of easy to establish one line, but it's difficult to maintain it. Yeah, you do have some of these kind of connections for kind of being amongst enemy territory and finding your way in and out without drawing attention. It's not going to work every time, but sometimes you better get people in and out without the Vong even knowing you're there.
60% of the time, it works every time.
We'll kind of move from Tyson. Does he go for is it Tyson usually or Ty that he goes?
I think, Ty to his friends, but they're Jedi, so how many friends do they really? If they know him personally, like they probably call him Ty, but most people will call him Tyson.
Well, we'll move on from Ty, and who wants to go next?
I can go next. My guy will be really simple. Yeah, so I'll be joining as Malachi this time, the representative of the Dominion and all that's corrupt apparently. And yeah, for him, his goals and basically his source of inspiration is literally Darth Dominus. He would be considered a fanatic of the man, the myth, the legend. And with everything that's going on in the Dominion, the kind of roller coaster ride of what the galaxy's going through right now, with temporarily working with the Republic, and then not really accepting the Mandalorians, and then all the armistice and the treaties and everything that's going on there. It's just been kind of a hurry up and wait game, but he does anything and everything that Darth Dominus tells him. And in that regard, he does everything that he can to increase Dominus's image and fight against inside threats and rumors. So he puts himself intentionally on the front line. He serves on the vanguard on purpose, maybe indirectly or directly attempting to increase morale among Dominion forces, but he is a force of nature to be reckoned with, and his goal is to fight fire with fire. Since the arrival of the Vong, his entire he's just been excited about it. In general, before the Vong, he fought against the Republic. He fought against any threat that a finger of Dominus was pointed at. He was there, and he did it with brutal intensity, as the Dominion tactics were at the time. But with the emergence of a threat that is got some resistance to the Force, it basically adds a new excitement that he's never felt. He seeks the challenge, he loves the challenge, and he will break the challenge. But in addition to all that, he seeks relics, he seeks power to increase not only his own, but the Dominions. So if there was anything that he could do to find temples, find powers, find a way to combat the immunity or the resistance of the Vong, he would be seeking that out, in addition to just overall making a name for himself, not only within the Dominion, but at the galaxy at large. He wants everyone to fear him.
Nice. And what does Malachi look like?
Oh,
Did we lose you? Oh.
I don't know if that's showing up really well. For some reason, it's got a little
I
thing
see
there.
a white face, and it looks like it's crying blood.
Yeah, there you go. I would say, as you can see, his most striking feature is the haunting mask that he wears, which kind of depicts a face with black eyes and blood-like tears flowing through them, from them. The mask has a smooth nose and an expressionless mouth, which kind of adds to the eerie appearance that it has. He's cloaked in tattered and faded black robes with a faded red lining around the hood, and it's torn in several places with frayed bits of fabric kind of hanging down and flowing behind him when he moves. But yeah, you guys, I don't know if we're seeing this or where we're at right now, but yeah, the shabby robe is also kind of like partially obscuring his hands, which is only exposing that's the only place where you can kind of see exposed skin, and if you look closely, you'll see kind of like a bluish black discoloration around the fingernails and fingertips. It's not corruption. or it is.
Bad circulation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Oh, boy.
he's the friend. He's your friendly neighborhood Sith. You guys got nothing to worry about. I'm bringing evil into the campaign. You're welcome.
Nice. So he's also so he's been kind of on the front lines, kind of shoring up Dominus's power. And yeah, there's been like some rumblings amongst the Sith with the war not going great for the Dominion, them being pushed out of the territory they've stolen for the Republic. How has like Malachi kind of fought for Dominus's name? Is he what does he do when he encounters like Sith descent?
He's kind of I don't want to say matured, because he's a little bit kind of beyond that. He just would say when he was first starting out, when he was a young Sith, he would probably draw a lightsaber, or he would, start wielding, some force and making threats and lashing out, showing the emotions and showing his passion for his master. But he's actually taking in his quest for power, in his quest for making a name for himself, he's also taking more of a political seat as well within the Dominion. So when he is not on the front line, he is I don't know what they do in Dominion politics, but he's whining and dining with as elite as his position will allow him, as I think you said I could be a lord, so Lord Malachi. So he's kind of endeavored to make changes within and outside of the Dominion. So on the front line, making a name for himself adds weight to the words that he brings to the table when he's back and speaking to the rest of them. So when people want to say something about, I don't know, Darth Dominus's power wavering, he can simply say, well, it was his idea to send me over here, and look what we accomplished, and look what I did here. Look at the devastation that I wrought upon the Vong, and before them, the Republic and the Mandalorians. Look what I've done.
Nice. And what would be like a little pet project of Malachi's?
Is this specifically for like downtime question? Like what would be spending our downtime, or just in general?
Just in general.
Oh, in general? Okay, let's see. So with a lot of our territory and worlds kind of falling under Vong control and resources being depleted and being backed into the corner that we are, I'd be seeking I'd be seeking any possible way to make myself or the Dominion, probably myself more. It's leaned a little bit more in that direction. Just make myself more powerful against the Vong, because Malachi does have a past with them, and he has had encounters that have kind of changed his mind and left an impact on him. And to that end, he doesn't want a repeat event. He wants to be able to counter that. He wants to be able to overpower that, and he wants to humiliate the enemy and never let it happen again.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Muted myself for something else. So there will be a point where the Force users, so Malachi and Ty, can find a way to kind of overcome the Force piece, potentially, maybe, if you guys find it. But yeah, so unfortunately that portion won't be able to help now. But so looking for kind of power would he be looking more for kind of a ethereal power, or more like standing within the Dominion?
Either or. I mean, I don't. He's not trying to climb the ladder to kind of replace anybody necessarily. If he's meant to replace somebody and he's told that he's going to replace somebody, he'll replace them. However, whatever form that takes. But I would say this is more. He is a controlled chaos at the moment. He's got a lot going on inside. So I think ethereal, if I understand your meaning in that sense, would probably be what he would be seeking.
All right, give me a force save, charisma save. That's yeah. So you've kind of tried to gain your power, and you've kind of increased it. Sometimes you feel that force flowing through you, just like rapid burning fire, like lightning through your veins. And sometimes, especially with the threat of the Vong, these things that are just outside of the force's kind of purview and control, it's difficult to feel. With that, sometimes you get some intuitions, or kind of what's happening with the war, but kind of similar. It just doesn't always come through, and sometimes those premonitions don't really shape up. But sometimes they come through, and they do. Kind of all depends on what the whims of the force are. But yeah, sometimes you can kind of get a little guidance on what may be coming down the barrel. And with that, we'll switch. Val or C4 who wants to go last or go next?
I can go next. So, Val is a Tagorian, and actually, I'll actually share a picture too of the same way that actually worked out pretty good here. If I can figure out how to do it on the fly.
Nice.
Right. So,
Nice, yeah.
oh, all right, cool. Yeah. So that's Val. So Tagorian, kind of the orange fur, kind of wields a blade in one hand, and kind of I RP that as kind of the traditional Skarath. I think I pronounced that right, as the traditional Tagorian sword. Kind of green eyes, very notable. Right, there we go. So that's Val. And so he grew up on Tagoria, but he kind of belonged to, I guess it would kind of be considered more of like a religious sect, but it was like a sect of society that kind of held to more traditional views of kind of why the Tagorians kind of evolved into understanding their role in the universe. And it's really more of this pursuit of perfection in combat. And that's why they've kind of evolved the way they have, and their beliefs kind of revolve around that, and in that your purpose in life is to become the best version of yourself in combat as you can, right, without a self-help book. And so that pursuit of perfection is kind of his life story, and he believes that you can honor those that you defeat in combat through a warrior's death, right? So dying in combat to a formidable opponent, that's the most honor you'll ever have, and that's kind of the goal to strive for. And so he kind of left Tagoria and joined up with the Hutts as a bounty hunter, and so specifically it was an opportunity for him to test his might against others. And so he would hunt down the biggest, baddest guys in the universe and try to prove himself against them by besting them in combat. Unfortunately, he didn't turn into the best bounty hunter because he would often kill them. But he still was very effective at tracking them down, and he worked for very cheap. So he was right along with what the Hutts were looking for. And so kind of in his journey, when Yu Songbong came along, one of the things that he's kind of been disappointed across the galaxy is whenever he's tracked down, and he's tracked down Mandalorians, he's been disappointed in them. in that they really, take away their magic tricks and take away their technology, and they really aren't that great of fighters. And so he's now tried to track down the Yusong Vong, and he kind of views them as almost the. And so he's been working for the Huts and trying to track them down and defeat some of their warrior caste or others that might be embedded in society. So that's kind of what he's been doing here for a little while.
Sweet. And I should give a little bit of an update on the Huts too. The Huts are playing this war exactly as you'd expect them to. They're trying to play every angle you can and play both sides for their own gain. Publicly, amongst the since the war with the Vong has started, they've tried to say that they're neutral, that they're not supporting any side. They're just trying to stay out of it. The rumors have swirled that they've provided the Yuzon Vong intelligence on the Dominion and some of their key holdings to help get revenge on their one of their major enemies, with Dominus declaring that he would stamp the Huts out of the galaxy. And they've kind of used the Vong to hit against the Dominion a little bit, or at least rumors say. But got a little bit more serious for them, especially with the Yuzon Vong cutting through Dominion territory and making their way to Hut space, kind of sitting their fleet right on the Hut's border and demanding tributes, which so far the Huts have paid publicly. But privately, probably where the domain Raval kind of interacts a bit more, the Huts have been kind of utilizing their shadow network to aid the galaxy, using their smugglers to smuggle supplies to the Republic, Mandalorians, as well as the kind of rebellion fleet led by Admiral Vexen, kind of sending those across the galaxy. Their ships are known to be able to get through hard areas, and they've been putting that to its work. They've been hiring bounty hunters and mercenary companies and the like to either kind of assassinate key Yuzon Vong or sympathizer figures, or in some cases, the mercenaries help fight alongside the Republic and the Mandalorians. All just kind of behind the scenes, trying to keep their overall name out of it as they're playing both sides. But they've definitely kind of ramped up their efforts, and especially with the Yuzon Vong near the border, some of the Huts are looking to get more, take a more active role in the war, especially now that they're on the door. They're fighting to break their way in. And then we know Val kind of works as a hunter for them. How's he kind of interacted so far with the Huts in the Yuzon Vong war?
Yeah, a lot of it has been mostly, I assume, unless this is incorrect in the story, most of it, I assume, has been rooting out the Yusong Vong that have been embedded in society throughout the different factions. And so kind of utilizing that Hut intel, he's been going to these planets, tracking them, and exposing them, or oftentimes just taking them out. And so he spent a lot of his time with that. He hasn't spent a lot of time in Yusong Vong territory, and so he hasn't necessarily been on the front lines fighting. He's not necessarily he doesn't view himself as a soldier in a war, but more of a specialized tool in tracking down and defeating kind of the more formidable Yusong Vong.
Nice. And outside of kind of hunting down some of the hidden agents within the Vong, what's been kind of a project for Val? What's he been kind of working on as this war's been going through?
Yes, to be known as the best fighter in the galaxy. I didn't mention that he is a Blade Master fighter, but that doesn't just include among the factions. That includes the galaxy, to include the Yusong Vong. So even though he's fighting against the Yusong Vong, he really wants to earn a reputation and renown amongst the Yusong Vong, because he views them as such, courageous and valiant warriors.
That's a good. And how does he? So, especially with the Vong kind of having a similar mindset, where they live to battle, they live for a glorious death. Kind of similar to Val on that. So, how does he view that?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because he recognizes the the Yusongvong as valiant fighters, but he also recognizes that the Yusongvong have to be stopped. And so the machines of war is something that he doesn't agree with. So kind of, just mass destroying and destruction across the universe and killing someone, especially someone who is necessarily like innocent or doesn't want to fight, that's actually cutting their life short and preventing that perfection of pursuit of perfection. So actually, that's why if he fights someone that he doesn't deem as worthy, it's not only that he won't grant them a warrior's death, he would never cut off their chance to perfect their craft. And so he understands like the mass destruction across the universe has to end. So he's actively fighting against them.
Yep. And so how because it's still kind of a smaller rep, but how do you think, like, and we're gonna tie this to a skill a little bit, how do you think Val has kind of gone through about establishing his reputation?
Yeah. And so a lot of it is he's a big fan of like a one-on-one. So he's not going to kind of stab you in the back in the middle of the night. And so a lot of it is just tracking them down, announcing himself so they understand who he is, why he's there. If I remembered the quote, I would tell you from the I'm looking for the six-fingered man. But yeah, so he kind of, he'll just say that he is, I am Val, and he'll just kind of square off and a duel with the Yusongvong as he hopefully defeating them in one-on-one combat.
Nice. Make me an athletics check. Let's see kind of what type of reputation Val has so far.
All right. Let's see if I can get my character sheet here. I think I could just click on it.
I was worried about being a disadvantage with stealth with heavy armor. If he's just like, I have arrived, let's fight. And I feel a little better about that. Thank you.
Oh, he's not had much luck.
He's got a burgeoning rep. Some have heard of you, but so far your name hasn't spread too much amongst the Yusongvong. And probably because you've been hunting down some of their, and Val probably gets this a little bit himself, because some of the hunts you've had with the Yusongvong haven't been as thrilling as you'd expect, and you probably surmise a little bit that some of the spies aren't as strong or aren't as martially beast-like as the warrior caste. And so far, so you've gotten a lot of victories against the intendant caste, the spies, the infiltrators. But the warriors, they want to see more before your name could spread. They want to see you go up against their true might. But some have heard of you. Some have heard and may even agree to a deal, depending on the circumstance. All right, last but not least, we got C4.
Oh boy.
So tell us about C4 and who's he repping him?
All right, we got C4T3, a droid, a mercenary, someone who's usually hired out to the highest bidder, but he is representing through a great myriad of equipment, Zerka. And oh boy, is he a corpo.
Nice. What does C4 look like with all that equipment?
He actually, with his design and how he's built, he has a cloak kind of almost like a clothes almost integrated into himself with big heavy armor. So if he closes all that up, he kind of looks like just a regular guy in body armor, though you could still hear the whirring of the droid machines. The eyes are dead giveaway, and the way he moves. Overall, he looks like almost a walking suit of armor with a slight, almost Mandalorian style, but not quite, to avoid some quote unquote copyright infringement and to give plausible deniability if someone doesn't like the Mandos too much. But still riding on the coattails of their brutality.
So, working with Zerka, a little bit of background on what Zerka's been doing throughout all this. Zerka's been pretty prolific throughout this, the war actually taking place. After the battle above the unnamed planet, Zerka's kicked its manufacturing kind of giant into gear. Mass producing weapons, ships, armor, medical supplies, the likes, and like distributing them through the galaxy. Even surprising, and probably surprising to probably Vars and Talos and all the rest in particular from the last campaign, they've been occasionally discounting their goods, selling things on credit without crazy interest rates. Even donated some of their weapons and materials to Dominion, Mandalorians, the Republic during this war effort. All of the Zerka Cares promotion for sure. They gotta have Zerka Cares in place, but yeah, they've actually donated useful materials. They've really just been pumping their juggernaut into gear to try to support the galaxy against this threat. With their chairman Oro taking a more active role in this engagement and kind of making sure that Zerka and their resources are being utilized wisely. And kind of with that, they've been hiring assets like C4 to help gather intelligence, kind of run some raids, as well as just kind of keep them abreast of what's going on so they can best bring kind of the juggernaut that is Zerka to bear. And with that, C4, how have you interacted with Zerka? What role do you usually play for them?
Merchandise branding. He puts on all the best gear, uses it to its quote-unquote fullest potential. He does some flashy tricks with it. He's grown a fondness for the smart pistol, especially that kind of weapon. Before he didn't really use one. Now he is attached to the hip by the thing. He says their slogans and brands whenever he's working with someone. He is walking advertisement, and he really he doesn't do it all the time, but he really does try and sell Zerka. And on top of that, he does have a slightly more eccentric personality for a droid, kind of trying to make himself look good all the time, and that kind of bleeds into it. And with that, he's trying to get a good bit of reputation with Zerka, hoping they can help him out a bit.
Zerka would love that. So I imagine there's a lot of holo vids with C4, probably doing both real and staged, like heroics, right?
Mostly staged.
Mostly
or organized to be there, but real situations.
Nice. Well, with this too, especially being a droid, how's C4 done with the Yuza and Vong, the creatures who've invaded and for captured planets? They've like mercilessly destroyed droids, creating literal pits of droids where they've thrown the parts in and burned and just desecrated them.
Why should he care about inferior models getting destroyed?
Nice. All right. That's not what I expected. All right.
There is one thing. If he says this one's mine and that gets destroyed, he gets a little upset. But inferior models, nah.
All right. And with that too, because I assume C4 has gone up against the Vong. How's he fared with kind of their religious zealotry against the droids?
Whoo! That's kind of interesting because C4 was not designed to fight the Vong. He was designed to fight Force users. So going up against them, it's really, really hard because he's kind of built himself up, augmented himself to kind of match Force users. So not only is he running off of like, oh, they hate droids, they fight droids, he's also running off of, oh, they can counter all my abilities that were meant to fight Force users. So very poorly. He talks a big game, but when it comes to actually facing the Vong, he tries to avoid them because He'll never say it, but he's fucking terrified.
Fair. Oh, and C4, what class are you?
He is Sentinel, with alternate casting for tech casting.
Nice. And I forget which you have Path of Iron, right?
Yes, most of them come with a force cantrip. Sorry, force at will. That one didn't, so it fit the best. Plus, it gives a little bit of HP and lets him keep some of his things like blasters.
Out of curiosity, what's your constitution with this guy? Is he another?
I invested this time. I was really torn between taking armor expert for heavy armor or durable. I took a risk and I took armor expert, so it's only 14. So we'll see if that comes back to bite me.
All right, I was just curious with the Caesar that somehow managed to survive, nearly die in like 5 times.
Not all of them.
But with that 0 con.
Listen,
I mean,
I bought 12 med packs for you for this game, and now I can't even use them.
Only for you.
Oh, I am sorry.
That's all good. Someone will use them.
I know I will.
Listen,
And
I also
we'll do a little bit at the end to figure out what happened to some of the PCs who haven't come back.
I also took repair droid this time because I don't think it's been shown on stream too much, but every time I play a droid, rapid reconstruction, I love that ability. I've never rolled good for it. Like, there's a total of 3 times where it's come in clutch, and one was an 8, the other was a 6.
Didn't you have like a
of them,
Berserker walk, like a D12, and still didn't roll above 6? Your Berserker droid?
Yes.
That was sad. I think that character died. I think but so with C4, what's with this going on? Kind of terrified of the Vong, but working with Zerka and boosting their image. What's his pet project? Like, what's something that he's been working on throughout this war effort?
This is actually a pretty interesting one. A lot of these are like, oh, helping the war, helping people out. C4 doesn't care about people. He cares about himself. So what he's trying to do is actually save enough money, and with the value of places probably going down because they're being destroyed and wiped out and made uninhabitable by flesh bags, he is saving up money to A, purchase himself, and B, he wants to purchase a small uninhabitable planet where he can basically just fuck off for the rest of his existence once this war's done. He wants it specifically to have water so he can have a boat.
Fair enough. So how is he going about getting these credits? Like, what's his? Let's tie this to a skill. What's his approach there?
He is taking on very, very dangerous and difficult missions. Never alone. Never alone. But he also makes sure in most of those they're so dangerous and the other people joining are kind of greenhorns or older, that he may or may not be one of the only survivors, meaning more profit. He takes on particularly ones to do with force users or intelligence, things to do with hacking and getting into tech. Let's see what else. And he does a lot of brand deals, kind of working that corporate ladder, as I said.
All right, I'll give you a choice on this one. Either persuasion for kind of building that personal brand with the Zerka Corporation, or we could say he has some hacking and slicing too. Maybe either slicer's kit or technology.
The technology is better, but having the face is very nice. I'll go with. He says Zerka cares, and that's enough. I'll go with technology. And normal. I've made a mistake.
Yeah, it's hard to save money, especially when you're a droid going on dangerous missions where you probably need to replace or at least give yourself an oil bath every now and then, replace your gear and all that. It adds up. You've still got a ways to go to get to that planet. We do have some like promising investments that maybe one day will pay dividends and get you your own unnamed backwater planet that's hopefully out of the Yuzon Vong's warpath.
Oh no, he is looking for it far into the outer rim where no one will bother.
Just has to have a little ocean, right?
Yes, he really wants that boat.
Nice.
You can't
Oh,
use a
we
boat on
met?
land.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just saying, you can't use a boat on land.
I mean, just throw some wheels on it. Get a little
it's
hover
not
boat.
Then it's not a boat, it's a speeder.
Sweet. Well, we've met our PCs. We've got 5 core factions of the galaxy represented. And when we begin session 1, they're going to be called into basically their Chairman Zhang Oro of the Zerka Corporation is kind of feared that this war has gone astray. With the Republic signing the armistice, the Dominion getting beat back, the war reaching the borders of both the Mandalorians and the Hutts, Zhang is worried that this could be the end of the galaxy as they know it. So he's built a new space station and has put the call out to the factions of the galaxy, inviting them to come and kind of attend a summit to help figure out the way to move forward in this war. Inviting the Mandalorians and Vars, inviting the Dominion and Malachi, the Hutt cartels and Val, the Zerka's already there, so C4, you're backing them there, as well as reaching out to the Jedi and Tyson. You all have some of the representatives along with you of your faction, but this has been a call for Summit to figure out a way to cooperate and face this new threat that's posed to the galaxy. And we'll get into that during session 1, but now that we've met a little bit of the PCs. But yeah, we got some more session 0 stuff. So that was a little bit about what's kind of going on in the story. We've got some like more rulesy stuff now for that. So now that we've covered that, we're going to cover the variant rules. Variant rules really haven't changed too much from what we did before. Cool thing is Crueler Crits is built in the system. You don't have to worry about doing math on that side. So if you crit, it'll double up your roll, max roll your last one. So makes it easy on that side. Oh, and actually with that too, because we're doing variant rules, but we'll also do some Foundry questions. Does anybody have any questions on Foundry? I think it makes a lot of things simpler. But with us converting from Roll20 over to the Foundry service, I know there'll be bound to be some questions there. What's up, Burger?
I have no idea how to use this. I copy and pasted, and half the time that didn't work.
Oh, no, cool thing with this system is you don't have to like type anything. So if you go to so sorry for stream viewers, I don't have a good way to share my screen on this one right now for it. But if you go to on like the founder screen, the compendium packs button on like right near the end of the right.
It's on there.
Everything's in there. They've got adventuring gear, enhanced items, classes, archetypes, powers. Cool thing, don't for anybody that does powers, don't type in a power. Pull it over, because the cool thing is if you use theirs, it gives you a template for how big that power is supposed to be. So if you pull off explosion, it gives you a 20-foot sphere. No more Roll20 sizing, slowing down everything. You basically just click it and it's up there.
I have to redo all my powers, but that is not an issue. Thank you so much. I was scrambling like an hour before this to get all this done.
No worries. Yeah, so yeah, just throw that in there. Class stuff, race stuff, all of that. If you just go and drag it on, it'll bring everything you need over for it. And like, you basically just have to kind of go through the. There's not a. They're building a compendium browser to make it a little bit easier to search, like Pathfinders is. But for everything else, you can just kind of go through and look for what category it is. They've got the fighting styles in there. I'm pretty sure the fighting styles augment the rolls too for the ones like Vars. I think you've got the one where if you roll like a 1, it'll make it a 3. I'm 90% sure they built that in there too. So if you bring it over, it should make that roll right automatically.
I hope so. That's a lot less math.
That's
You know what to say.
absolutely
Some of them-
phenomenal.
Some of them don't work quite right. You still have to be a little careful. Like I took Rebuke as an at-will that has the varying damage type based on alignment. It always pumps out pumps out all 3 of them. So you have to go through when it rolls them and pick the one that actually rolled for your dice.
Oh, here.
It still works, but I rolled it once. I was like, oh, 25 damage. I'm like, how the hell is that possible with a D12? I'm like, oh, that's not. It's kind of all of them together. So you just have to be careful. But most of it, I think I've tested all the powers. I think they all seem pretty good. And Call Lightning has the 60-foot big old sphere that you can plop
I'm
down.
guessing that these features with the templates and everything don't actually drop on the map until we're in like a combat phase or something,
Oh,
right?
or you guys may not be. Try one now. Let me unpause it for you guys.
Yeah. If you cast the power, it should bring up like damage and like place template.
Yeah.
And you click that to place the template. That's what I did for Call Lightning.
What did it work on when it was paused? It did? Okay, cool. Yeah, so she's been able to do that. I wasn't sure if you guys would be able to play stuff when it's paused. I know I can as a game master, but I wasn't sure if you all.
It's got little
Oh.
images for the powers too.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Cool thing for any of you guys at GM, they've got both Fistos Codex as well as all like the Star Wars 5e.com monsters in with tokens. The hard part for this campaign is like I'm still making most of my own, so I still have to put them in, but nice thing if you're running a regular campaign, you can just use it right off the bat.
I can't wait to release the updated version of the Codex and break all their hearts.
You'll be popular.
So much to redo.
So that's just a little bit of the Foundry stuff. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Biggest thing, don't type anything. Just pull it over. And if you want to like rename your weapon or anything like that, just rename it once you pull it over. But yeah, it rolls so much better by bringing over mods you're using, and it just makes life easier, especially for powers. And I think too, for like Rebuke, I think there's a way to go in there and just like delete 2 of the dice.
I think you can. It's just by default.
Yeah. By default. Yeah.
Because it's all based on what you're hitting, so you'd have to change it every single time. So I kind of like the way it has it set up. It's just weird if you're not expecting it. Like I'm like, wow, 25. That's a
Well, what you
hell of a
could
combo.
do is when you click and drag it over, you could right click and duplicate, and then you could do that twice, and then change the dice calculation for what was it, light, neutral, and then dark. You could do that, and then that way you're not changing anything, and everything else remains the same.
I hope I never have to use it, because if I have to use Rebuke, we're kind of
we're at a point of desperation.
The healer's fighting. Things have gone wrong.
Oh, I wonder how this works.
Last,
Can I click one of these real fast?
go for it. Yeah. One of the big things I'll mention with Foundry too, I didn't have a battle map set up, so we'll have to do this in session 1. But you can target it. It's like target creatures. If you click on like the target button when you're like doing an attack against a creature, it'll tell you if you hit, if you miss. The nice thing for me is I can just click apply damage. I don't have to do any more math or try to minus out things from Roll20 and all that. So that should be pretty cool, I think. It'll be taking a bit to get used to, because even with my Pathfinder games, I always forget to hit target as the GM, and I know we'll forget as the players too. But it's nice. It's one of those cool things. And for the area of effect things too, you can like anybody that's in it, you can make them click roll saving throw and then click apply damage. So I don't have to like click into the 5 different sheets and roll saving throws for all of them, which will hopefully speed up our play as we're going through the actual play. So cool things there. I think those are the big things for Foundry. Last big thing for Foundry. 2 actually last big things for Foundry. For anybody that is having like slowing down your system or is giving you trouble there, you can click on the gear icon, configure settings, and then configure. Where is it at? There's a way, because it has you like there it is. Configure settings and scroll down. For some reason, it defaults to performance mode high. If it's slowing your system down, switch that down to whatever works best for you. Also, with that, it has 60 FPS frame rate. I mean, it's a table. It's not really. I'm not gonna have animations, so you don't really need it at 30. So if it's giving your system trouble, change those. It should free up your processor and make things run a lot smoother for you too. But all that to mention, there's another really cool feature with Foundry, Dice So Nice. So in that same kind of configure game settings, if you look on the left side with modules, you all can go in there and like customize out your own 3D dice. So they'll have like a look that you want, a color that you like when you roll your dice. So play around with that. Each time you roll, once you set it for this campaign, each time you roll, those dice will come up on the screen. So check that out. I thought it was a cool thing. I'll probably go in and customize mine sometime. But I know some other players in my Pathfinder game got excited about that. So have fun, build it in whatever crazy dice you want to use. Yeah, anybody have any Foundry questions? We got some more variant rules and then some of the faction stuff. We'll wrap it up.
I just have a system question for the general use of the game, not
Okay.
really Foundry related. How exactly, let me post these. How exactly will Twilight Form work with Force Camouflage? Let me post them. There we go. So let's imagine there's just a dude in front of me. I mean, he obviously knows I'm there. You could cast Force Camouflage, and then as a bonus action do the Twilight Form. That doesn't make you instantly invisible, correct?
Yeah, there would
Like
be a period.
he saw you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as an
But
attack
it would.
lands, it'd be like a second before you go like invisible.
Okay, but it would it make some of this stuff at disadvantage? Like if they can't see you? Like does that help at all, or is it kind of stacking the same effect here?
Like if you were both Twilight and Force Camouflage?
Yeah, so you'd have to do camo as your action and Twilight Form as the bonus action. But I mean, would that essentially, even though you're right in front of them, give them disadvantage to try to find you?
So you basically you'd cast. Would you cast like one turn like the Force Camouflage, and then another turn you'd attack and then cast Twilight Form?
No, so your Force Camo would be your action, but Twilight Form is the bonus action. It's just adopting a form. So I think
you
you'd
don't
be
have
able
to
to
attack. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it would.
So I'm just wondering.
You'd be invisible either way. It wouldn't add anything additional doing both.
Okay, but I was just looking at I think it's the stealth checks and all that stuff. It does you being invisible. It doesn't help boost give you advantage on the roll or something.
Oh,
or
I usually do
them.
advantage for stealth.
Okay, and then they'd have disadvantage to find you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's if you're hidden. If you're not hidden, they know where you are. They just can't they have a disadvantage.
Because that's what I think that's what the Twilight Form is doing, right? Where you camouflage and turn yourself invisible, and then
just
the Twilight
making
Form
you
is kind of hiding.
You'd need to take the hide action to be hidden.
Okay.
So invisibility just kind of part advantage on stealth checks, but they have disadvantage on hitting you. To be hidden with them not knowing where you are, you'd need to use hide as an action, bonus action, however you can use it.
Okay, so Twilight Form does kind of step on the same toes as Force Camouflage.
Yeah, there's really nothing it gives you that
okay.
Camo does.
Okay, that helps narrow it down. I had like 4 forms. I needed only 3, and I don't know which one to get rid of, but if I have Force Camouflage, maybe get rid of the Twilight Form.
Yeah, and Twilight Form, they'd have advantage. The Vong would have advantage on the perception check.
Okay. Even with the invisible.
Yeah,
because you don't have it yet, you'd have it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then,
or to them being cut off from the Force on that side. So for either Twilight or the Force, they'd have either like a slight boost to their passive or on that to see if they can spot it.
Okay, but it'd still be useful.
Still useful, yeah. Still very useful.
The regular denizens of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. I just needed to. I need to narrow down some things. So.
Sweet.
By the way, I'm not gonna go with the companion.
You're not? Oh.
I mean, it's tempting, but I want it to be more of a leader, if you will, like when it comes to like hey, I can help you guys, as opposed to I'm gonna help my droid mount and the rest of you guys can kick rocks. It doesn't feel very teamy, you know. It's more like, hey, I'm riding my droid horse. Guys, yeah, that didn't feel very conducive to a team effort. And I think that's part of the whole thing with VODs. Like, all right, guys, let's work together, all of us, even though we're insanely different and probably wouldn't like each other outside of this. But hey, we're here now.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so other variants, we're still using inspiration. You guys should have a journal entry where we'll be able to track how much inspiration the crew has, all that side. So you'll get and the inspiration have the same uses that they did before. You could use it to re-roll an attack, saving throw. You could use it to add +10 to your initiative, skill check, all of that. Just gives you another re-roll. The group shares the pot of 5, and you get them or gain access to inspiration by cool RP moments or help me if I forgot something.
Okay.
So nothing crazy there. We're still using we already talked about crueler crits. We're still using modified dismemberment. So basically, if you hit a true nat 20 on a weapons attack for a melee weapon, we do the opposed 2d20 rolls with the defender having advantage, attacker disadvantage. If you are Caesar and have bad luck, you can lose an appendage if you fail that roll. Tactical initiative, I assume that'll probably be another of the group's favorites. Fortune Founders have a cool way to do tactical initiative that makes it easier. So still same process. You'll basically be able to throw an initiative, and whoever has the lowest of the group that opted in for tactical will all start the same round. And last big thing too, just as this one I know is always a weird one, we're doing wounds as well too. So if you fall to 0 HP, Constitution save that starts at a 10, but +5 for each time that you've fallen unconscious before being healed up. Before I think, what did I do for that? Before a short rest. So they're a little bit different than the rules as written. Rules as written, if you're cured all the way, you get back to 0 on the DC. This one, if you take a short rest, even if you don't get all the way back up to your HP, you're back to 10 on the DC for it. So yeah, those are basically the same variants on that side. Nothing really changing too much there. Did anybody have any questions on that? I know one's pretty much, we've used those before, but I thought it'd be good just to go right back over them.
I actually do with dismemberment. Since I'm playing a droid, when you get dismembered regularly, you gotta get a cybernetic to replace it, and that can be costly. But since I'm playing a droid, how does that play? Does it play basically the same, or is it easier to replace a lost limb?
That's a good question. Let me think on that one. I feel like there should be some cost, but it should definitely be cheaper.
Yeah. I asked because you know my luck.
Yeah, you've got bad luck when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's fun though. It really is fun.
If you retrieve the lost limb and bring it
Yeah.
with you.
like that should be
Stick
at
it
this.
back on.
Yeah, just like a quarter of the cost for what it would normally cost for like materials to reattach it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's a droid. He's already going to be at an unfair advantage. If he only loses a limb, I'm going to be surprised. All right, well, that was a good fight. Time to drag C4 out of there because he's just a torso and a head.
He's got constitution. He's got more constitution than Caesar. So we'll see if Burger's bad luck follows the C4. Actually, not even bad luck. Caesar's just been dead a couple times.
A 9-year-old in the 1800s with tuberculosis had more constitution than Caesar.
So something I should also ask as well.
Dark humor.
A little bit.
Yes. Civil War, I call that a bit more. But for C4, I'm realizing how close the word C4 is to Caesar. I hope I don't make a mistake with calling him Caesar. But for C4, he is a droid, and while he is a tech caster, he is going off of one of the force casting classes. Is that doubling up on the difficulty?
No, so because
Okay.
with being a tech caster, you're using the tech casting powers, and you're a droid without access to the force. So it's just because basically with the alternate casting rules, it switches it over. So if you pick a tech caster that uses the force, you're gonna be an engineer that's somehow force sensitive. If you pick a force class that uses a tech casting, you're just some martial dude that learned how to use tech really well.
Damn, I was hoping I went super hard mode.
Yeah, so that one, yeah, you're not casting force powers, but yeah, you are a droid, and they hate
I
droids.
mean, you should have played a shard then.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
I've
kidding. Don't do
already
that.
done that. No, I've already done that before. Old Misty, way back
Yeah.
when.
Well, I mean, if you ever want to re-roll a character really, really quick, then I'd say play a shard here.
C4 has died. All right, let me bring in force casting.
C5.
That's actually what. This is not the first time I've played C4 in one of Tegan's games, but if I remember last time, it was in a one shot, the Rackle one. He actually got killed.
I just want to point out a couple of things about you, Caesar. So, I think that you're the only person in the previous part 1 of the campaign that used any Mad Packs out of all of us. I think we once used one on somebody else on accident, but you were the one that used all of them. I'm talking like 6,000 credits worth, and they're 300 a pop. All right.
You
Then
can't
then-
count.
and then you lost your hands and you didn't like cybernetics. You were completely against
Yeah.
it. So now what do? You create a droid, and the only way to repair you is with a repair kit that is 2.5 times the cost.
No worries, no worries. I just use rapid reconstruction.
I'm gonna make sure that Vars and his better understanding of the basilisk droids that he wanted to procure, he's gonna opt into whatever kit the hell he needs to keep droids on their feet. It's the Astromex, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry. He's gonna go ahead and make sure he's proficient in that one way or another.
Are you already
Because,
proficient
It's worth
in
noting.
mechanics kit?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. By the way,
It is worth-
for ship stuff, I'm taking I just forgot. I'm taking the same position that Talus had before.
With this one, we won't be doing as much ship stuff, so no worries on that one.
Oh, thank God.
Thank goodness.
Is it because it
Oh
kept
my God.
changing all throughout the campaign, like 4 times?
That did irritate me a little bit, yeah.
That's right, guys. We got a handle on the rules. Those rules are no longer valid. Time to learn this shit all over again.
Good
Okay,
news,
we got
everyone. It's all changed.
It's
We
also
got a handle on
because
the rules.
it's also because the Novicana was a beast. I'm sorry. I made
Oh,
it
yeah.
too perfect. Too perfect.
During the play, because the first time we did ship combat in this game, I was like, I love this so much. I'm gonna make a submarine thing based on barotrauma. Then they changed.
I actually implemented a variant rule in my campaign for ship combat that in your turn, no matter what, you have to move at least 50 feet. Have to. Because it defeats the whole like just sitting there and shooting everybody from like one spot. So it makes ship combat actually have to move. So the enemy has to move. You have to move. So it actually uses the map and environments and stuff that you might create within that, like an asteroid field.
Or like
Asteroids
if
are
you-
moving.
If you, I imagine like maybe if you don't move, like attacks have an advantage on you because you're stationary. You're just I'm a little.
Yeah,
shit,
that would
look at
actually
me,
be
ah,
that would
ah.
actually be a decent. I'm down with that. I'm adding it right now.
Just a thought. Just a thought. Sorry, I'm sorry to your players.
On the repair kit note, though, even though they do cost more, it is worth noting that 3 med packs is 900 credits, and the repair kit has 3 charges, so that's 250. So
What?
it's actually cheaper.
I missed that.
But
I missed
but
that.
you have to buy each one for 750. You can't buy one for 250. So you have to go all in, but the 3 charges on it. So
Okay.
Just gotta lunk it around.
Disregard. I was wrong. You went the cheaper route. You got the economy in mind this time around. Good
It
job.
is one of the few items though that when I was going through my shopping list that I threw back, I'm like, we're not gonna find a fucking droid. I don't need this. And now I don't have credits to help you.
No, don't worry. I have repair droid and rapid reconstruction.
But we'll get one or two. We'll keep them somewhere.
I didn't have enough credit to do anything, so I have credits. It's like,
Well,
I've got just enough to not get anything nice.
Luckily for us, C4 is a lot more hesitant to get into melee unless someone's wielding a lightsaber.
Oh, I'm about to spend so much money on downtime, I think.
Well, the cool thing with that too is there are some new rules that will give you guys some benefits here when it comes to consumables. Because you guys are backed by factions, you're respected, either leaders or at least very well respected within your factions. They will be kind of give us some sponsorships a little bit. So we're going to be kind of using the same. Well, depending on how much you guys have it up with the RP, same structure with kind of a 3-session adventure arcs. But in between adventures, you guys will get a chance to earn, or you're not even a chance. Your faction will pay out some credits to you. Now, this is based off of kind of your faction's financial standing a little bit too. So some get a little bit more, some get a little bit less. So there's no surprise Zerka gets the most. But along with that too, you guys get access to premium consumables. So I'm going to throw it in here too. I'm still tweaking a little bit, so it may change before session 1. But let me throw it into our chat so you guys can see what you get. But each of these are you get per adventure some premium consumables that you could roll either a D4 or D6 from your faction's type of consumables and get those for that adventure. So we'll pick on the Mandos, like explosives, ammunitions, or you could choose barriers on that side too. So you get some more kind of what was those Inferno Eclipse that he was using. But these are all premium level too.
Whoa. So how does that work? Premium ammunition. Is there more of it? Does it burn harder?
Well, I looked at the premium ammunition, so you actually get a +1 to hit, and it burns a little hotter.
Damn, Tegan, it's on my birthday. You're too nice.
Each of the factions has something that kind of aligns with them, kind of with their theme a little bit. So the Mandalorians, guns, armor, and explosives are kind of what they're known for. The Hutts, you get ammunition as well. They're gun runners, but spice too. I don't know if Val has a spice. Like Talos has a little bit of a spice tooth, but you get access to that. Zerka, technology, just kind of each of them has like a different piece on that side where you can enroll. And one thing I'll say for balance wise too, those who Zerka who got a little bit more credits does get a little bit less on the kind of the materials or the consumables that they can get to balance it out a bit. So like the Jedi, unfortunately they have the lowest credits one on that side, but you get 1d6 med packs as well as barriers too that you can whip out. So you don't have to choose; you get both, and hopefully roll well for both.
I really like that.
Nice.
Look, I wanted to have a system where it showed that your faction kind of is backing you, and I always forget to have loot for consumables. So this way, you guys get some consumables that meets what your faction is. But there'll also be some new faction rules too, because basically, as I mentioned, we're gonna have like a 3-session arc for hopefully the missions. They'll probably take longer. We found that's usually the case. But with those, before you embark on a mission, except for the first one, each of the factions will be doing something. And for these rules, like I was playing around with like a lot of different like game rules. Shout out to Stars Without Numbers. They're our game of the month, and I almost used their rules. But then I realized they're really cool, but they're assisting onto themselves. I'm like, I don't want to explain this. I've utilized a little bit of like the dice pool system from Die and some other things too. So I'm going to post this one most likely later this week. But each of the factions will have a 1 through 10 rating. So like, let's pick on the Yuzon Vol. Right now they're at a 9. So they'd have 9 D10s. And basically, whatever action they're taking between whatever the adventure you guys are doing, whether they're attacking and trying to take a planet, attacking a fleet, trying to infiltrate something, they would take that kind of faction action, and they'd roll 9 D10s, with anything over a 6 being a 6 or over being a success. And don't worry, guys, I'm gonna throw this all in the chat too, so you have it to kind of go back on. But yeah, so they'll be able to go that, and depending on the difficulty of what they're doing, they'll either get a success or a failure. Because the difficulty rating will be kind of as many successes as they need to get with 6 or above. So pretty similar to how kind of Die and some of the other pool systems do it. So that's going to be kind of how we handle the factions. But your guys'
a
faction,
mini skill challenge almost.
kind of like a skill challenge a little bit, but it'll be just one roll on that side for the faction, kind of whatever they're going up against. And if they're going up against another faction, they kind of do a roll off based on that and see who gets more successes. And that's kind of how we'll be handling the factions. And each faction will almost always have something they're doing for that time. You guys will be getting downtime because this will be moving a little bit slower time-wise in the universe than Invasion did. Invasion was a kind of a pretty packed 6-month period. There'll be kind of like weeks of downtime typically between each adventure, where you guys can kind of decide if you want to do your own thing or support your faction, which can even bump your faction's power up, which can give you the more resources and cool things you can do too.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna post the rules. I still need to. I meant to do this afternoon, but then I got like into a tangent on Wikipedia, and I need to go through and kind of map out each of the factions' kind of overall ratings. Those should be up before session 1. But I'll post the rules for how we're handling that in the chat a little bit later this afternoon or tonight. But I know that's probably high level. You want to probably read it first. But does anybody have any questions or any thoughts on that one?
I'm not going to do this, but
Well,
can you choose to, in your downtime, assist a different faction that is not your own?
100%. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention too. So a little bit of a spoiler, but you guys will most likely be your own faction as well. So still with ties to the kind of core factions, but you could spend your downtime helping your faction, another person's faction. Maybe Malachi wants to build some bridges with the Jedi. And you can
Absolutely not.
But yeah, you could spend your downtime helping your faction, doing something for yourself, like researching or do whatever you want to do, or helping kind of the new, the new faction that springs up with your group. Because one of the things I think I mentioned this not online, but before when we wrap up Invasion, it's gonna be a little bit like kind of like Mass Effect 3. There'll be different like when missions you'll kind of see what assets and what kind of the strategic stake is for it. And you guys get to pick which missions you want to pursue with bonuses, opportunity costs, and all the likes. With this one, I'm really kind of going for like a living, breathing galaxy with everybody kind of doing their own thing while this is going on. So hopefully the mechanics will help support that. Yeah. Shout out those Star Wars numbers had a really cool one, but it was just one of those things. I'm like, this is more work than I want to put in. I'm like, this would be. I was getting between using that Blades in the Dark's more narrative style, but I'm like, I wanted dice and some mechanics behind it. So this is kind of the neutral ground we came to with it.
Yeah, it doesn't help that factions aren't really built up in Star Wars 5e that much. There's a few, but not all of them. You have to create like 3 or 4 more to.
The system because I built a couple of those, but the system wasn't what I was envisioning for this. So I was like, that's adding complexity, but not adding the right kind of complexity I was looking for. So that's kind of what this little hodgepodge system. But I think it should work well. But this one will be one cards on the table. I may tweak as we go if it's not kind of working the way we expect it to. But I think it's pretty straightforward and hopefully should roll what we expect. So we'll play around with it.
All right. I mean, hey, maybe it becomes the new rules for it because why
Yeah.
not? Let's see. Let's feel it
Mhm.
out, man. Yeah.
Oh, and with the factions too, so there's like 4 categories. I'm basing them off of what to be like the overall 1 through 10 rating. So military might, or kind of their for those like kind of the smaller factions, kind of their ability to apply force. So like it doesn't have to be like the coming in with the Republic's full armada. Maybe the Jedi can strike a target that's behind enemy lines using their prowess. So it's not going to be kind of pure army numbers there. Intelligence gathering resources, overall like funds and materials and resources, and then just kind of tactical position. So I don't know if I'll share it behind the scenes every time for that, but sometimes I'll share that if it like makes sense to the narrative. But those are coming. But I think that's everything new that I'm doing. It is sweet. So yeah, let's resolve downtime. So you guys each have 4 weeks of
Wait,
downtime.
I
Go ahead.
actually have a question because
Yep.
this might come into play. So I noticed in the character creation thing, it said any race is available. In case one of our characters die or C4, is Hut an available race or is that still banned?
9.
Still bad because I can't imagine a Hut climbing a ladder.
What if he had a jetpack?
You would literally break the entry ramp of the Novacana. No.
Just
But
like
Hut with a jetpack, though.
you mean plural?
I forgot to
jetpacks?
put Hut on that one. Unfortunately, Huts are still bad because they're just too big. Like and they got their slugs. Like there's just so much weird things with them. Like but unfortunately, no Huts. Everybody else is playable. I don't think there's anything else. Or Huts and Chiss, I should say. Spoilers: the Chiss will show up sometime, but yeah, they're going to be completely alien.
And then they're available?
Maybe after they show up, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Second part of that question, I know this one's a very big long shot because we've touched on it before and there's no actual written race for it. Is the Yuzong Vong a playable race?
No, because there's no good way to do their force immunity. Because it's either like ridiculously powerful or just doesn't fit the fiction.
What about the shot? Doesn't that have a pretty good force immunity?
I don't know how they have it set up in the system. I haven't read that one in a while.
I don't think that they have force immunity. I think they have resistance. And you could, even if you, well, no, they don't have immunity to force.
Force contention. Advantage on strength and con saves against force powers. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no species that has immunity.
Yeah. I have a mechanics question. Should I change topic a little bit here? The hooked vibroblade. I think I looked it up. I thought it was listed as a pole arm as the specialty type because they do have the weapon focus. I think but I'm just kind of curious, like kind of what your thoughts are in that. I initially thought it would either be like a trip weapon or a blade weapon. I don't know. I don't mind going with polearm. That just kind of seems odd to me.
Yeah, if you want to go for blade weapon, go for blade weapon with it.
Okay.
Because I don't think it'd be a trip weapon because I don't think it has a trip property to it. Let me check. So
I can help you trip.
Hey, what's a hook? Let me pull up the thing real quick.
When I hear hooked blade, I think of the bill hook.
Oh, trip weapon.
It has like the disarm property.
What are trip? Yeah, because I think there's a trip weapon focus or not weapon focus, but like weapon trait, right?
Oh, I didn't think so. There might be.
Oh, maybe not. Okay.
Huh.
Yeah. So I'll look at that. If you actually, yeah, if you want to do trip, you can do trip. Yeah, trip or blade, whatever fits there.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't know what's trip weapon, to be honest. Because there's no trip property. I have to mess around with that, because there should be something there. But I'm blanking on it. But yeah, either way, you're good.
Okay. Well, if you change your mind, just shoot me a message, and I don't really mind that either way. It don't matter.
Yeah, the weapon focuses and supremacies are pretty fun. Are you doing just the focus, or are you doing the supremacy for which one you're going for?
Eventually, maybe I'll do the supremacy. We'll see what level we get to. So.
I should mention that too. So I'm imagining this. You guys are level 7 right now. Imagine this going to 12. I may do. Usually I do the 20 cap off. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that for this campaign or not, but potential for that.
You don't want to see me when I'm 20.
Sweet. So yeah. So last thing we'll do is we'll do downtime. We'll wrap it up. Who knows what they want to use their 4 weeks of downtime as this war kind of rages on, and whatever they're focusing on. Go for it, C4.
Making money.
Making money. How is C4 just straight working, or how's he making money?
Counterfeiting?
Not counterfeiting. I imagine in the galaxy right now, especially against the Dominion, there is a high demand of force users people want dead. So picking off a couple of those and some more kind of assassination style missions, or joining up with a team that may or may not come out of that alive.
Oh, so I get into some little bit of forest bounty hunting. Are you going after? So with Dominion, did you say you're hunting? Are you hunting Dominion targets or targets that the Dominion picked?
So long as someone's bleeding, they're bleeding credits.
Okay. Well, I'm still gonna pose that one to you. Actually, are you hunting Jedi or Sith? I should just say. Let's make it easy.
Dealer's choice. Whoever pays the best right now.
Pays the best right now.
I imagine not the Jedi, so it'd probably be someone in the Republic who'd pay for Sith being dead.
Not the Republic paying. The Hutts are still paying for dead Sith. They hate the Dominion. They want them dead. They want them.
Oh yeah.
The Dominion's made its whole effort to stamp out slavery. It stamp out and basically that's what the Hutts are. So their existence is still a threat, which is why they even traded some Yuzon Vong or secrets to the Yuzon Vong about the Dominion. So yeah, they'll pay a handsome penny, even in the wartime, for taking out some Sith threats. Sweet. So we'll use the bounty hunting downtime for that. I can use that for all 4 weeks.
I'll use it for 2, and then I'll pass to other people and figure out what I want to do from there.
All right. So spend 1,000 credits that's for both weeks combined. And how does so C4 when he's on a bounty? How does he usually go about trying to make that hunt?
He is someone who'd basically slowly track down where you live, and at your most vulnerable, use everything in his power to make sure he doesn't have to fight you directly, and then he fights you directly once you're at your weakest. Once he knows he can win, it's not that he doesn't like to take chances, it's that he doesn't like to lose.
Fair enough. Sweet. So give me a survival check. And you can spend more credits too if you want to ensure it's gonna get a +1 to give yourself additional successes with the rules.
How's it work? How much credits would I spend?
500 per an additional +1 to the D20 survival roll.
And what's the possibility for making a profit on that?
So to make a profit, you'll need, because on the D20 roll gives you a bonus to your D100 roll. To make a profit, you need to at least get in the 71 to 100 range.
All right, we're going just straight to. Oh, he doesn't have good survival. Could I argue for?
I'd give you investigation too if you got that.
Not
Without your prayer.
Oh wait, I do have led by the force, so I'm technically trained.
Sweet. You go with investigation. Did you bring led by the force over too from
Yes.
the compendium? Sweet. Yeah, you'll pre-fill that in for you too. Sweet. Oh, that's a good point,
Hey!
John. I forgot I got to talk about the splash classes. So Caesar, while we're picking on you, or not Caesar, C4, while we're picking on you, what is your splash class?
Oh, it was fighter. I heavily invested into superiority dice because let me tell you something I've not seen anyone do before, or unfortunately not even talk about. There are tech and force based superiority dice that help with casting, and you can do some ridiculous things with it. It's just that most casters don't get those superiority dice. Sentinel can, from its ideal the fighter, bonus action to get the mastery, and then the fighter splash class on top of that. That's a lot of superiority dice where you can cast as bonus action or take a first level spell and turn it into a third.
Nice. Sonic can get some work out of that.
Yeah. If you played fire team, specialist fighter and took force powers for each of your thingamabobs, each of your ability scores, you could technically help upcast your allies' force powers.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there as a build that I've thought about for a while.
Solid. Well, you've got a good hunt on that side. So we'll see how it goes. So C4, you've made your way into Dominion space at the shadowy commands of the Huts. They didn't meet with you in person, but you know what's coming. Hut money coming over your way, and hunting out one of the kind of the Sith warriors who had been attacking Hut space prior to the Yuzon Vong, Lord Cesrin. A Kabith Sith Lord who had been kind of terrorizing the Huts. And so far, the hunt's going well for you. You got a 23, so that's going to give you a plus 15 to your D100 roll. Does C4 have any tips or tricks or kind of rituals he has for hunting force users?
Tips or tricks? He is very specialized towards it. He doesn't really if he sees a force user, he's not gonna shoot blaster bolts at them. He's definitely trying to figure out whatever weaknesses they have, whatever connections they got, but overall he's more so as a quote-unquote ritual thinking, what can I take from this guy after I kill him? What can I add to my collection? Lightsaber? Maybe. If it's a Bith, maybe he's got a musical instrument.
All right, give me a D100 roll.
All right.
Plus 15.
D100. Here we go. And now we add the plus 15. $69.
So you chase this Sith Lord kind of through the kind of the streets of the planet, trying to figure out ways to cage him and weaken him. You thought you had him cornered for a bit, but you see as you kind of draw and I don't know if you shoot, I'll let you kind of fill in this last bit, whatever he does to figure this out. But as you shoot, you throw a punch, you throw a grenade, you see the illusion disappear. You realized somebody used some Sith chase. Good thing is though, the kind of where you found them, you did find a little stash of materials. Finding some kind of just grenades, armor, materials worth 500. Or actually worth the 1,000 that you put in. So you pretty much you break even on this. You got your supplies back, but unfortunately, Lord Ceswin lived another day.
For what exactly he was trying to lead him into, I imagine it's borderline Looney Tunes like stuff, trying to chase him and corner him into a part of a alley where he set up a bunch of loudspeakers with the most ear-piercing noise, because Bit got that really sensitive hearing.
So you see kind of the myth go in there and just not really react the way you'd expect him to, with that blasting sound, and then find he's just a little illusion.
All right.
Does this Sith Lord support Darth Dominus?
Yeah, he's a Dominion Sith. Yeah, so he is a supporter of Dominus.
Okay, if he supports Dominus, I don't condone this activity. If I ever find out about it, you're dead, C4.
You can try. Wait, what was the word? You can try.
I mean, I remember how that
Alright.
fight went. It didn't go too good for that dude.
Sweet. So we'll go. Who wants to go next with their downtime?
I think I figured my life out.
All right.
Okay, so Malachi, I think Caesar explained it perfectly well. I also took fighter for the exact same reason.
Nice.
And then our fighting style, I took superiority style. So I have some nice maneuvers. One with the force, and then three uses of short round, which will come in very handy. So for my downtime, I was wondering if, because my stats are pretty weak, all things considered, would I be able to flavor mercenary contracting into simply just doing work for the Dominion?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you could just kind of fighting for the war effort. Yeah.
Perfect. Because and part of that is, making the name for myself and striking fear into the Yuzong Fong, whether that is pointless or whatever. It hasn't stopped me, and that'll continue to be my striving effort. So I'm going to use charisma to do the intimidation check for it. So before I forget, I will minus 100. So. And then, excuse me, intimidation. Do good. Let's go. All right, that's not too bad. So it's a plus 10 to the D100.
Plus 10. So yeah. So what is so how is Malachi going about kind of building this rep for himself?
As far as time, this is pre going to the meeting and everything that's occurring. Okay, so I would be, we'll just say I'm recovering, and as soon as I hit that minimum clean bill of recovery, I'm immediately out, and I'm just like, hollow terminal calling up Darth Dominus, kneeling down. How may I serve, my lord? Like, put me in, coach. And I will go to the nearest frontline effort against whomever, whether it be the Vong, whether it be the Republic, whoever it'll be. Just I want to go there and I want to wreak havoc.
Definitely. Yeah, so Damas wouldn't be your usual contact, but the Supreme Commander Barish would definitely, his apprentice, be willing to unleash you on kind of wherever those front lines are thickest. Definitely kind of throwing you at the Vol, causing havoc, and just trying to slow down the press and kind of give them some breathing room.
What's my relationship with Barish, by the way? Do I consider him like, I know administratively and in title, he outranks me, and I'll respect that. But would I refer to him in any sort of like higher title or capacity? Would I?
So he could either be his kind of his rank, Supreme Commander or Lord. He's not really. He's not one that stands on from either. Both him and Dominus are to stand on formality. Dominus does make everybody call him Darth, though, just as a kind of a bow down type piece. But for Barish, doesn't really care.
Okay, it'd be the same thing. So it's to him, and I'm kneeling, and my lord, and I show that respect.
You see, kind of in Barish. I don't know if we've ever actually got to meet him, but he is a Kalish Sith Lord. So you see, he's got this pretty similar. He's got a mask as well, different than kind of Malachi's. His looks like it was created out of like made from bone, but you see this intricate black and gold kind of coloring, mirroring the Dominion's own kind of sigil on it. You see kind of a crate dragon breaking its chains, kind of tattooed on the front of this bone mask. You see him kind of nod and go, "The Vong have gone insolent. Bring them pain, bring them suffering. Show them that the dark side bows to no one." And he'll send you out. Give you a D100 roll. 82, solid. So with mercenary work, you complete a moderately difficult job. You get. Were you doing this 1 week or 2 week of this?
I'm actually gonna go for 2 weeks of this if I can.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so you gain after you kind of complete this, you sent out to intercept a Yuzon Vong task force that had landed on a planet that the Dominion still controls, and you're able to take them out without them being able to gain the intel they need. How does Malachi take them out?
I've become a little bit more tactical for reasons. So a little bit more reconnaissance before just jumping straight in. But as soon as I'm sure of numbers and what we're up against, I go in and without spoiling too much, I just unleash everything that I've got. A walking virulent storm of just darkness and pain. And behind me, hopefully an overwhelming force of Dominion power. So maybe some other Sith that came along for the ride. So I can set the example, or maybe some Dominion soldiers, but we bring the pain and specifically leave a couple of them alive too, just so that I can torture them and for reasons. And hey, look, guys, there's a whole bunch going on here. But yeah, I aim to torture and I aim to make them feel the pain that they have wrought already.
So with the Vong, how does torturing go for them? They like pain.
Dangle like a phone in front of them.
I hold the head of a droid and I just keep on pushing a button and it says, "Hello, how may I help you? Hello, my name is C4. Hello, how may I?"
So yeah, successful mission, 1,000 credits richer. We'll wrap up there. Vars, Ty, or Val, who wants to go next?
I got a question. You said that we had 4 weeks, or are we just doing 2 weeks?
We got 4 weeks. We'll do 2 weeks for everybody online, and then we'll wrap up the 2 weeks offline.
Okay, cool, gotcha.
I can go next.
Please.
So Ty's his clothing has probably been one of the few things he didn't really keep up on. He's got his nice little clandestine, scouting clothes and everything, but his overcoat has seen better days. It's not even enough to be a rag anymore. He's kind of just, it's like a safety blanket almost. So he's gonna try to look for a new set of Jedi robes, just going for the Padawan level, but just something simple and basic and nondescript, but still enough to give him, for the right person that notices it, they know who he is, but also for the wrong people too.
Solid. Give me let me pull up the buying enhanced items rule and finding them.
Yeah, I do not like these rules they've got for these. You don't ever get a bonus, and the only time that will ever really truly help you to reduce the cost of anything is if you're only going for a standard item, but that will cost you 10,000 credits, which is just absurd. It's one of those things that, like, this thing needs a revision. Massive.
10,000 credits to get 100 credits.
Yeah,
on.
I mean, I was doing the math looking at it, but I'm like, well, I mean, but that's what we got, so.
You get a +1 bonus for each week you spend looking for it too.
Do you? Okay.
Are you going for the full, or what are you thinking?
Is it? Do you have to spend 1,000 credits for each week too?
No, that's separate.
Okay. And yeah, the full 2 weeks looking for it. It's a pretty important.
If you wanted to, you could spend your full 4 weeks too. This is an option.
Well, maybe he'll try his luck when new vendors show up at the station. I assume at this point he's just kind of skulking on the station, checking it out. There's all sorts of other contacts and things to do, and he was kind of just in the area, and it made sense.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'll go with finding that.
Perfect. All right, give me a perception check. Give me a perception check or a wisdom save.
Oh, well.
You kind of reach
Same.
out with the force, see if you can
Same
find
thing.
someone who can help make some Jedi robes out here. Solid. 17 on that side. Hold on. Roll me one more.
One more. Another perception check.
Nice.
Oh.
Fortunately, it's the lower of the two, but luckily this is only a premium item, so you do find it.
All right.
Sweet.
Okay, now
You find it. We've got to figure
use
out
my social skills to talk it down.
Roll me a D100 now.
Okie dokie. Ooh.
96, solid. Yeah, so you kind of hunt around through the space station, opening yourself up to the Force, and you find this vendor, just kind of this old Twi'lek, and kind of to the Force, you feel like a spark of it, like someone that's sensitive to the Force, but definitely not one that ever was strong enough to be a Jedi or Sith. Just somebody that kind of just feels kind of the small eddies and currents of the Force. They are willing to be able to sell you or kind of make you your own kind of Jedi robes. And which one are you doing? Are you doing the Jedi robes or the Padawan robes?
Padawan robes.
Padawan robes? Those are premium, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
He's a
Yeah,
knight, but he hasn't gotten the upgrade yet. The Jedi are a bit strapped for resources.
They definitely are.
All the
Sweet.
material to the war effort, rationing it out.
And I forgot to warn one of my other variant rules is for the pricing of items. So we're going to do some more rolls there. It's in the table rules as well. But this is a premium item. Roll me 2d8.
Okay. Oh.
Oof. All right. Times that by 750.
So it's
Just the 8. Just the 8.
Just the 8. So it's
Yeah.
6,000 is the full thing. Yeah, I knew that. That's why. Did it cost anything to look for it?
I think it costs 500 credits, but let me make sure.
That's a nice.
Actually, sorry, 1,000 credits.
Oh,
Okay,
balls.
thanks. Bye.
Now I'll be like, well, you drive a hard bargain, sir. Here you go.
Yeah. She goes through and makes just kind of this exquisite cloak
Excuse me,
for
madam.
you. How does that cloak look on you? Is it anything different than your old appearance?
It looks a lot cleaner than the clothes he's got on. So it there's a very stark contrast. Like if you were to looking at him, you could very clearly tell like that guy looks like he's been homeless for quite a while, or just like they haven't gotten the proper like laundering that they need. He has, but the clothes are just kind of they're war torn and used. But it's the same kind of muted shade of brown that the Jedi always have, very nondescript, and it kind of still fits his kit. If you look at him, you wouldn't know him from any other person. You wouldn't exactly be able to tell he's a Jedi. But if you look
we went
closely,
brown. I wasn't sure if he's gonna go green for the Green Jedi.
well, he does have some green, but he's kind of downplaying for now, downplaying the Jedi connection. Although I don't, would green actually be a more like would the Corellian Jedi be more renowned?
Not more than the overall Jedi. Kind of in their sector, they were a little more recognized.
I guess you would go with the less descript, the more nondescript one.
Probably the
So
green
I
would be
think-
more
would green-
nondescript. Yeah.
Okay, well he'll go with the green. Yeah, because he's just trying to lay low, not really bring attention to himself, and like a muted like Viridian shade of green. No, nothing too bright or neon or anything like that, but it looks earthy,
Nice.
vibrant, full of life, but at the same time muted.
Cost a pretty penny, but you were able to get some nice robes.
Save my
for
ass
the
from getting singed. Yeah, that's I gotta get rid of some stuff that I bought earlier. So I have enough. I knew this could happen, so it wasn't entirely, unexpected. I was just like, oh, I really want to pocket scramble my comlink. But we'll deal with that later.
Vars or Val? What are you guys thinking?
Unless you want to go Vars. Yeah, I guess. So Val, he's just going to be hunting some Yusong Bong for the huts. So I guess mechanically, however you would want to do it, either I can do the bounty hunting downtime, or if I wanted to give the huts the credit, I don't know if that would play into the new faction system or if we're using that yet.
So you're not using that piece yet. So these ones are kind of purely for you guys right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's just gonna do. He's gonna try to hunt some Yusong Bong. So I assume that would be bounty hunting.
Definitely.
Right. What do I roll?
And how does Val usually try to kind of sniff out these Yuzon Vong?
Yeah, so he usually gets like a hint of who they might be, but he'll usually track and try to follow them from a distance without being noticed to kind of confirm, at least in his own mind, that they are Yusong Vong before he challenges them to a duel.
Nice. Give us a survival check.
All right. All right, great start so far.
A little rough start so far. So yeah, you kind of go through kind of a planet near the hut borders and kind of sniff around, just having trouble finding kind of the reports of whoever this undercover Vong is. Kind of it's a little hard start, but let's see if you can bring it home. So you don't get a bonus to your D100 roll, so this is all on the D100.
All right, so 1D100.
Big money.
Nice.
Could have been worse.
Yeah. Somehow, and I'll let you kind of figure out what that somehow is. You still find your target. Even with kind of that rough start, not really finding any tracks, not finding any clues to him, you come up and get this Yuzon Vong operative who's been kind of infiltrating one of the hut worlds, causing chaos, kind of trying to get people to rise up and revolt against the huts. You're able to sniff him out and find that he was in fact a Yuzon Vong operative placed by the intended class. How did Val find him? What did he? What turned his luck around?
Yeah, so he was he was following this guy around that he got these intel from the huts for a few days. Clearly, that wasn't the guy. So Val just got frustrated. In the middle of the night, just jumped down, pointed at a guy, announced himself as Val, and that he was going to slay Yusong Vong. And the random dude threw a slug bug at him.
Oh my god.
You see surprise on this guy's face, and he just yells, he kind of yells Yuzon Vong out at you with expletives, hurls that slug bug, but you're able to take him down, and you have a fight with him. How'd that fight go for you? Is that fight a worthy one? Does he become a worthy opponent?
I don't know.
Does he leave with all his hands?
Let's see. Yeah, so he was actually more surprised than anyone that he actually got that right. So he was caught out a little off guard. The guy got a little bit of a jump on him, but he quickly dispatched him. But it was maybe a little bit harder than he thought. But yeah, he did give the guys a warrior death, and walked away unharmed.
So you see, as you're losing his life, you do see Kaz has like a smile, a grimace between a smile as he goes with his honorable death. Sweet. So you get that. You gain 1,000 credits as well. So you get some paper. Oh, and I forgot to ask you, what is your splash class?
Monk.
Monk. Nice. I don't think I asked you, Ty. What was your splash class?
So with being on the battlefield constantly, he's kind of learned how to quick fire off powers, even though he deals more in the healing. And I took distant and twinned as his usual force empowered casting. I got the splash class for fighter that lets you take the maneuver, and I took was it short round? It gets you 3 uses of converting an action power to a bonus action.
Did everybody but our fighter choose fighter?
Yeah,
What makes sense the war effort?
One monk.
Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't be
What?
able to choose fighter because you can't have any classes in fighter.
Oh,
to
yeah.
actually take it. So he
We
could have
got
taken
two
fighter.
fighters. Valid bars are our fighters.
Oh, yeah! Maneuvers are great. They're
Maneuvers are
great,
great.
and they give a lot of casting potential.
You guys are fighting in a war effort, so it definitely makes sense.
I had just said, like, I haven't seen anybody do this before.
And here it is. You'll never guess what my splash class was.
Yeah, what was your splash class?
Monk.
Oh my god. I'm surprised
Yeah.
you didn't take like a force casting class since you got those lightsaber lessons.
I don't know how to what the
You
force.
need to get a cast. You need to be.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
wait. Oh yeah.
I don't know that, like, we're all one gobbledygook.
Didn't
Just
you?
like laser
you-
swords.
Oh, you got a lightsaber from killing a Sith, right? Was that
Yeah.
Forever ago. And it's like, this is good for opening doors, I guess. I don't know.
a universal cutting tool?
Yeah. It's got a nice handle.
So Vars,
Vars
what
is
does he
simple.
do for his downtime?
Man, he's just in the war effort, man. He's fighting. What would make the most sense for that?
We can do mercenary work for that. So right now, is he kind of doing? Because right now the Mandalorians are doing a mixture of two things. They're helping the Hutts kind of a little bit down with some of the border skirmishes near their area, but they're also doing some hit and run tactics on the Vong fleet that's perked right out of the Mandalore sector, kind of going into hostile territory, blowing up some poodoo, and getting out quick. What type of operation would Vars be looking for to assist with?
I don't want to help no damn huts. Yeah, so let's kill some Vong and protect the fatherland. Protect home.
All right, mercenary work. So yeah, your choice: intimidation, athletics, or even survival, if you'd like. For
It's athletics.
Yeah.
Okay.
perfect,
All right. And away it goes.
nice.
Hey.
Yeah, you guys get in, and actually, Vars, are you operating in space or in kind of on a hostile planet? How are you operating? Because you've got your full Beskar guard. You can breathe in space, right?
For an hour at a time. So
You know the Mandalorians from Invasion. That one of their favorite strategies was blowing ships up from outside using people. Are you doing that? Or are you going into hostile ground targets?
let's get familiar with those damn rock things. The skippers? Yeah.
Of course, skippers. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
So you got
let's do
an
that.
18 there. So you get a plus 10 to your D100 roll. Mission starts off well. You and your squad. Darkest space, waiting for this ship to revert to from hyperspace. You see this massive coral Yuzon Vong frigate show up. See how you guys do.
Yeah. All right.
I definitely. So you complete the job. You damage a good chunk of this frigate. You guys take out a lot of its magma splitters, damage some of its Dovin basal propulsion systems. You guys make it a wreck. And kind of the way it's like, because they use living tech. The way it does make its way to hyperspace, but it looks like it's limping, bleeding, and Vars, it's a ship, but you can guess it's probably not going to survive those wounds as it makes its journey back.
Feels good. Real good.
You
Let's say
are-
I wanted to do that.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's say I wanted to give that a go for 3 out of my 4 weeks.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so you get 750 credits with that.
750?
Yeah.
Is it? I'm looking at the contracting stuff here. Isn't it 1,500? With a 78?
You got 78, right?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, no, yeah. So, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right.
I bumped you down to, yeah, so it is 1,500.
It's cool. I don't think it was on purpose. I was like, no, I like my boys poor. All right. Now, last week. All right, this is more of a mechanics question, and depending on this answer, maybe it'll be 4 weeks of blowing up long ships. So the prototype armor that Vars got from his exploits back in campaign 1. Can he slap modifications into that thing?
Unfortunately, not with that one. You need one of the chassis ones to be able to add additional pieces onto it.
All right.
But I think there's still, and we'll resolve this one offline, but there is still a piece of the Mandalorian armor that he doesn't have. Like, these are the crush gauntlets or something you don't have. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are a little more up there. Yeah. I would just take a quick little.
That a superior item?
It's advanced.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be.
So advanced is like I might have to sell a ship to make it happen, and that's for a nice down payment on the like I get half a glove.
Come on, lay away.
But they give you
Yeah.
21 strength and they stack with all the other stuff too.
Yeah, and they give you a nice, yummy 21 AC. But that's
Right on loan, you die, you don't have to pay it back. It's also good.
It also makes you resistant to kinetic and energy from unenhanced sources.
Yeah.
Man, I ain't got that.
So
I don't got
we'll
that
resolve that
scratch.
one offline. But yeah, so this was you got to meet the crew a little bit, see some of the rules we'll be running. But yeah, we'll be running this every other Tuesday. So the next one will be the 25th of July. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll now be on YouTube versus Twitch. So you can come right to Tegan J Gaming to watch. And yeah, we'll be kicking this off and figuring out to get to see everybody meet each other as they come through. And you can see how it plays out from there. So join us there, see how our heroes are able, or actually our heroes are defenders of the galaxy. Heroes they may not all be, are able to defend the galaxy from the Yuzon Vong, and who ends up in control of the galaxy at the end. So come through for that. But till next time, everybody.